Hey guys! So I'm here with my cat Bear. He is getting his morning pets, and it is very cold in the house. Um, I kind of had set the thermostat to not let the house get colder than 55, or at least try to not let the house get colder than 55. Thank you, Bear. Um, because I didn't really expect it to keep up at all times, but at least to try and not let it, get too cold. And the sun is coming in. I'm gonna move over. The sun is right behind me as it's coming up. But I was like, oh my gosh, it's kind of really cold this morning, and I went and looked at thermostats. Like, I'm curious, to see how cold it is, and the thermostat died. Like, literally, the screen was blank. I couldn't get it to do anything. So I think the batteries might be dead. So there's no telling how cold it is in the house. But it's 39 outside. So I'm pretty sure it's at least in the 40s in the house. Maybe 45. That's what I'm thinking. And that's why I was like, it's really cold this morning. So yeah, that's fun. Yay. Hopefully I can, I hope it's just like a battery issue and I can just replace the batteries and it'll work again. So yeah, that we're going to try that today. And, if it doesn't work, I'll let you all know, but hopefully it works. I think it shall. Anyways, this week, yeah, it was this week. It was on Tuesday, I finished watching Game of Thrones. If you watched any of my previous videos, you might have heard me say that I had stopped around season 6, and then I had decided to come back and finish it. I wasn't watching Game of Thrones when it was first being released and coming out. I came to the party a little late, but when I did watch it, I read each book before watching the seasons that they corresponded to. And I was watching it with a friend of mine, so we kind of just both got busy and we just did not get back to it. So I decided to do it on my own, and I did. And, I went into season 8, the terrible season 8, and I was like, oh, surely it's not quite as bad as everyone's saying, there must be something good and great, and I really hate season 8. It was really bad. And it makes me wonder how much George R. R. Martin was involved in the story writing of season 8. And maybe this was his vision. I don't know. I'm going to move the camera because I'm kind of over here now. Yeah, there we go. I'm looking at the camera. Maybe it was his vision for how he wanted Game of Thrones to end, but I honestly think, I know that he, just right from listening to his interviews and reading some of his blog posts and whatnot, I think he's very much the kind of writer who writes something and then rewrites it, writes something else, goes back to the first thing, rewrites it again. So he's seems like he's constantly rewriting what he's written. And I really don't think, if that was his vision, I don't think he would have stayed with it if he had finished the books before the show came out. I think he would have ended up changing it because he probably would have realized that something wasn't working. So if you have not watched the show and want to one day watch it, or if you're, if you were like me and not quite finished with the show, then stop this video now because I don't want to spoil it for you if you don't want to be spoiled. But if you finish the show like most people, or if you don't care, then continue watching because we're going to talk about why season 8 was terrible. I'll wait 5 seconds to give you time to pause this video. Yeah, that's 5 seconds. Okay, here we go. Biggest issue, Daenerys and Jon. Not their love for each other. That was not the issue. The issue is that whoever wrote the story completely flipped both of their characters. Let me explain. So Daenerys was always like a friend of the common people, especially the poor. The common people were often poor. So the everyday person, she was their friend. The poorer and like the most unfortunate, the better. She wanted to uplift those people. It makes absolutely no sense for her character to destroy King's Landing like she did. Now, like going after like the watchtowers where the guards were and destroying the palace where the queen was, that could be different. We can make an argument that she would have done that. But just seeing like, oh, look, there's a whole street of people and there's a lot of common folk down there and they're screaming in terror. Let's go burn them alive. That makes absolutely no sense for her character. And yeah, they tried to make it seem like, oh, she just lost her best friend. But what happened when Khal Drogo died? Like, she was absolutely devastated when he died. She did not stop uplifting the common people. And even when, the witch lady, I don't even remember her name, that was, season 1? Gosh, that was so long ago. When she, betrayed Dany and it kind of seemed like she purposely, made Khal Drogo like a shell of himself. She's like, ha ha ha, I saved him, but he's not what you expected. Dany did not stop saving people like her, saving people who were being raped and, mistreated and everything like that. She still uplifted the common people, even though, one of them betrayed her trust. That did not stop her from doing what she knew was right. And she loved Khal Drogo, a lot. And she overcame that. And so when Missandei died, it's I really think that she should have been able to overcome that. And yeah, she should have been sad for a very long time. But that should not make her abandon everything she believed to be right and completely become the tyrant, the kind of tyrant that she was trying to rid the world of, that made no sense. That whole scene, I was like, okay, and I mean, I could tell that they were trying to build up to that, and maybe it would have worked if there was more and clearer build up, but, when she burned the Lord Tarly alive and one of his sons with him, when she burned them alive, you saw later when she finally met Samwell Tarly that she was sad that she had done that. She felt bad. She felt remorse. Not necessarily that she thought her decision was wrong, but she felt bad for having done it, And you never see her feeling bad for destroying King's Landing whatsoever. They made her into a very flat character with no other feelings. And so that was a large mistake. And then I also mentioned Jon. So I also think they ruined his character and they completely flopped him from where, he was, because he was very much like his father. Well, not his actual father. The father who raised him, Ned Stark. He was very much like him. Took me a minute to remember that name. But yeah, Ned Stark. They were both very much, and I would say Robb was like this too. They were all very much into doing what was right and not what was easy. And in that last season, you see Jon doing what is easy and not what is right. Until the final episode where he finally kills Dany. But all throughout season 8, he's just blindly following her orders. She's like, well, she's queen. What am I supposed to do about it? She's queen. He's taking like the easy path. And yeah, he talks to her sometimes and gives her his advice and be like, but he's not strong about it. He doesn't put a huge amount of emphasis on anything except for the fact, like, I need to tell my family who I am, and you're not going to stop me. That's the only thing that he is, like, set on. Like, my family deserves to know because they're my family. So he's still very much, very protective of his family and wants to do right by his family. But when it comes to, like, the Northmen and the common people, he's, like, just totally forgets to, do right by them. And I'm not necessarily saying that he made a bad decision in kneeling to Dany. I don't think that. She did save his life and ride in on dragons, and that would probably change my mind too. But the fact that once he kneels to her, he doesn't voice his own opinions really at all. It's like, this is not Jon. This does not seem like Jon to me. Because having read the books, even though he like followed other people's orders a lot, he still had his own opinions, and he tried very hard to do both. Even when he disagreed, he still had to follow orders. I can't see the camera. Can you come over here? No? Okay, I'll look up. He still followed other people's orders, but he still tried to do what he believed to be right. He brought the wildlings south of the wall. He did a lot of things, and you kind of see him stop being that person in season 8, the person who, still followed the orders he had to, but still also did what he believed to be right thing to do. He still, he didn't do that in season 8. So I thought that was bad. The way that they ended the show was terrible. It's not like the worst ending, but there was no build up to a lot of it, and I don't think you necessarily need build up to all of it, but I don't think anyone really wanted Bran to be king. Like, it's okay to have like unexpected things that people will still like. Like, we don't need to like want something before it happens in order to feel like satisfied when it does happen. We can have like unexpected wants. Like Tyrion becoming king, like I would say that was an unexpected want. I think that was good for his character. I didn't expect it, but I was like, this works. That was a good decision. But Bran being king, it just didn't feel right. And yeah, it was more like he was forced to be king, like everyone voted for it to be him. But he's very just, but I think he's too disconnected from people to really achieve the full potential of being a great king. He would be a merciful and just king, but he would be very disconnected from the people. And in season 8, just with his character, he became very uncaring. What's her face? The Reed lady. Gosh, I don't remember her name, but her last name was Reed. She helped him. Her brother died for him. I think her brother's name was like Jojen. Her brother died for him. She like risked her life and a lot of it to carry him north of the wall and bring him back out of it. And then he's just like, thank you. And that's it. He became completely uncaring. And yeah, I get that, going through the change that he did and being able to see the memories of everyone like all at once, seeing all the past. It changes you. I get that he should have a different his personality should change. He should be different. But he also became like a shell of a person, you know? So yeah, that didn't sit right with me necessarily. The fact that Arya just sails off to who knows where, she's like, oh, I want to go exploring. Yeah, I tried so hard to get back to my family, and I miss them, and I love them, but yeah, I'm just not gonna go. It didn't make sense. There was no build up to that. You know, John's like, oh, will you come and visit me? She's like, actually, no. Like, you're my favorite sibling, even though you're not actually my sibling. But yeah, I'm just gonna go live my life somewhere else and maybe never return. There was no build up to her desire to go sailing off on an adventure, so that felt really off. Sansa becoming queen, didn't really have an issue with that. That felt fine. It did. But the fact that Jon was exiled, I mean, it made sense, but I think everyone hated that. I didn't like it. Like, I get that you need to make hard decisions. Like, characters need to make hard decisions in books, and they need to feel the consequences of those decisions. But, I mean, at the very least, he should become Lord Commander again, you know, because people are drawn to him. He's like a leader, but I don't know. That last scene with him, it was very unclear what was happening. He rode out north of the wall with all the wildlings, but he didn't have any of his brothers in black with him. He was alone with the wildlings, and it very much felt like he was being exiled from the Night's Watch with the wildlings, like he was just going north. And, you know, Jon is one of those people who should be in a position of leadership because he's good at it. Like, he didn't... Okay, I apologize. Bear stopped my video because he was trying to be petted. Also, this lighting, I am realizing, is really bad. I wonder... I'm going to try scooting over here. Okay, come on. Here we go. This is not better. Oh, okay. This looks better. We're going to be right here. And I will try to keep Bear from hitting the stop button. Anyways, yeah. I think that it would have been better to make Jon king because it's also something that he did not want. He did not want to be king. And so, you know, by killing Dany, he would have been the only rightful ruler left. It would make sense for it to be him. And it's also something he doesn't want. That's a consequence of his action that he didn't like, that he still had to live with. It, you know, that would have been good. And yeah, you know, Grey Worm was upset about it, but also Grey Worm became a flat character too. Like, what is it with the people just being, something happens, they totally change, and there's no redemption, right? They can't get past the bad at all. Like, with so many characters. He can't get past the fact that Missandei died, that his queen died, or that his queen was murdering people. Innocent people. I don't know. Season 8 just completely lost the fact that anyone can overcome from anything hard. Bad thing happens. Oh, we're all going to be very upset and do everything terrible and feel no remorse for it. There we go. Yeah, so that's why season 8 sucked. And it was rushed. You know, Some of the things maybe could have worked, not all of them. You can't do all of them. Don't think that was a good idea. But if you wanted a couple of those things, like if you really wanted it, sure. You could make some of those things work, but you needed to build up to them more. And the fact that there were only 6 episodes of season 8, like, granted, some of those episodes were longer, but not like, there was one episode in there, I think that was 58 minutes long, and the Long Night episode was an hour and a half. And, like, the last few episodes were like an hour and 15 minutes. So, yeah, some of them were longer. I get that. But if you had kept that length and added another 2 episodes, you maybe could have saved some of those moments in the plot that the writers wanted to have in there. But you need a lot more buildup if you're going to have such drastic change like that with no redemption. Yeah. So that's how I felt about season 8. Was not quite happy with it. I binged watched like the end of it. I think I watched the last 4 episodes in one sitting, like all in one day. It was on my day off on Tuesday. Maybe it was the last 5 episodes. It was a lot. I watched it like all day. I was really into it. Like, it was good. And I was like, really hooked, but the ending just was not worth all of it. I think, I would have been fine staying with season 6 and probably not finishing the show, which is really sad because even reading the books, I really enjoyed the characters. John, Danny, and Arya were always my favorite characters. Always my favorite characters. I very much respected Ned Stark, and I enjoyed, for season 1, seeing his character, but I wasn't like that much. Like, it was very sad when he died. Don't get me wrong. But, I wanted to follow these other 3 characters because I was more interested in them. I was very interested in their characters. So, I don't know. The fact that they kind of messed up all my favorite characters was really disheartening. I was like, okay, great. So, I don't know if George R.R. Martin is ever going to write the next book and get it published, because I think it's been 12 years now since the last in the series. I don't remember what it was called. Is it called A Storm of Swords? Something like that. It was like A Storm of Swords, A Feast for Crows. One of those was like the last ones. I don't remember. But I think the last one came out in 2011, and it's 2023. So it's been over 10 years. Yeah. So I don't know if he's ever... I don't want to say like he won't ever publish it, but I know he's also getting older. And if the last... Because I know he has planned 2 more books. And if the last book takes as long as this book is taking, I'm really not sure that he might not live long enough to write. I actually don't know how old he is. How old is he? Hold on. We're going to Google this. How old is George? That's not how you spell George. George R.R. Martin. It's loading. 75. Okay. He's 75 years old. So, he could live a long time. Okay. The last book was called A Dance with Dragons. That's right there. Yes. Okay. He could live another 20, 30 years, but he might also not, generally when people start to hit later 70s, upper 80s, or later 70s, early 80s, something like that, some people have mental illnesses like dementia and Alzheimer's, and I'm not really sure that he would be able to write a book under those conditions. Just from personal experience, having had grandparents with that and great grandparents with that. And I was very thankful enough to have met 3 great grandparents and actually get to know them like up until, at least like, I think when my first great grandparent died that I was, had grown up knowing was when I was like 12. So, I had 3 great grandparents that I had known for quite a few years and gotten to know. And yeah, I did see the decline in like their mental state, and it was really sad. And I just, you wouldn't be able to do, I really don't think you'd be able to write a good story under those conditions, because you're not going to remember. I mean, unless it's the long-term memory that is what's getting you, and it's just like you've got great short-term, maybe, but I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that was my week. I watched Game of Thrones and was very upset about the ending. I did not write a ton this week. Ha. So yeah, I might write for like an hour. I think I have an hour and 20 minutes free, and I still need at least 10 more minutes to finish getting ready to leave the house. But yeah, I might try to write a couple hundred words in an hour, and we'll see. I do need to write more. I think I had planned to maybe write like twice every week and then 1,500 words on those 2 days that I write, so a total of like 3,000. But I'm finding that like I was planning for that to be like Tuesday and Saturday, and then Tuesday I ended up finishing Game of Thrones, and yesterday was Saturday, and I drove to Waco and spent the whole day in Waco. So I think it would have been better to take an hour or an hour and a half from every single day and write 500 to 700 words. That would have been way more productive. So I'm going to try and do that instead this next week and just write for maybe an hour and a half every single day. And then we should be making some progress. And if I write 700 words every day, then I will definitely make up for not writing as much this past week. So yeah. But yeah, I will see you guys next week, I guess. And hopefully have some, bear is biting my thumb. Ow. Some actual progress to report to you guys. And Christmas is coming up. Yay. I think we're 8 days away from Christmas. Something like that. So yeah. I do still plan to write over the Christmas holiday. Again, maybe like an hour or an hour and a half a day. And then I should be able to stay on track. So yeah, I will touch base with y'all next week. And have a great week. I certainly will. And if Bear stops biting my hands, I'll be able to sit down and write. So, toodaloo.